afternoon. I'm Leo Schmidt, the chair of the Institutional Asset Management Committee at the CFA Society of New York. The CFA Society of New York is an 80-year-old society founded by Benjamin Graham, legendary investor and teacher of Warren Buffett. If you like these types of events, you do not need to be a CFA to be a member of the society. When I first became a member of the society 26 years ago plus, these types of company events were one of the things that were a big plus and benefit to the society. So we're kind of going back to our roots. We're coming back to the things we used to do and having hopefully at the beginning of a series of company presentations. It's my pleasure that we have Oshkosh. It's an interesting name. I like to say it's a name that has a free option on the recovery and government-sponsored cash flow to get us through to there. With that, I'd like to introduce you to one of our co-partners for tonight's events, Gary Luton, who is the chairman of the Shareholders Forum. Gary, you are on.
Thanks, Leo. I just want to offer some brief praise of both the CFA Society for hosting this event, and also particularly for Oshkosh for accepting the forum's invitation to demonstrate how a company can be managed to generate sustainable profits from doing the right things the right way. This is something that society needs and that all investors dream of. You'll see that Oshkosh takes a great deal of pride in what they do, and I hope that this will provide additional support for that pride. For the members of the CFA Society, as Leo pointed out, this is what the society was originally organized to do. It provides an essential function for the marketplace of providing investors with access to the managers of the capital that's being used to produce goods and services. I want to offer great admiration to the staff of the society and to Leo and all of his volunteers for struggling through the process of figuring out how to adapt this traditional process to the modern requirements of communication. And with that, I will turn things over to Pat Davidson at Oshkosh to show you how to do the right things the right way.
Hey, thanks very much, Gary. A little feedback. Hey, welcome to Wisconsin, everybody, at least virtually. It's a little bit of a wet day today, and we've got a lot of excitement going on. I'm here with our CEO, Wilson Jones, who I've known for about 14 or 15 years and have had the pleasure of working with and spending time with, especially when we meet with some of you folks on the buy side or sell side. We're at the Pierce manufacturing facility where we build the world's best custom fire trucks. It also happens to be the starting point of Wilson's career here at Oshkosh. And I know you're glad to be back, see some familiar faces, and share some of the cool things we're doing here at Pierce. So with that, Pat Davidson, with Investor Relations, I want to mention that. I don't know if that got in. I'm going to turn it over to our CEO and take it away, Wilson.
Okay, thanks, Pat. One of the things that we're very focused here is, boy, that is some bad feedback. One of the things that we're focused on here is our people, and it starts with safety. So I just want to let the folks watching today know that we are wearing masks all the time. We have set this up today so you can hear us talk better. So we're going to social distance today, but you'll notice that all my associates, as we talk today, if they're not talking, they'll have their mask on. That's something that we want to make sure we keep our people safe, and we want to do all we can to stop the spread of this virus. So before I talk about the neat company that Pat mentioned, this is where I started about 16 years ago. I want to just talk a little bit, because I know we have some friends, and I guess I need to back up. A wonderful introduction, gentlemen. We appreciate that, and certainly glad to keep this narrative going, even though you can't be here. I think we're going to show you some things that you'll feel like you're here today, and that was the purpose of how we set all this up. But for you that are new to our story, or maybe don't know our story very well, first of all, we're not the little blue overall company. We want to get that straight right away. That sometimes is a question, especially for our new friends. But no, we've been building specialty vehicles since 1917. It started back then with a purpose to make a difference in the lives of others. If you think about 1917, our founders created a four-wheel drive truck with a transfer case, enabled people to go places that, quite honestly, they didn't think they could go. Not many paved roads, I hear, back in 1917. So it started there and it continues here. But what we talk a lot about is we view ourselves as a different integrated global industrial. And you're seeing that in play right now. Access, our largest segment, they're protecting that technician working as high as 185 feet in the air, making a difference in that person's life. At the same time, that market has slowed a little bit, but our diverse in markets with fire here and defense, they help us carry. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how our businesses have transformed themselves, lowered that break-even point through good simplification, good innovation with not so big capital investments, something that we're really proud of. But we'll talk more about each segment as we look through the products today. But when you think about the other segments that we have, defense, they get up every day with a tremendous purpose to protect the warfighter and do a very good job at that. Then you shift over to our commercial segment. They get up every day and protect the men and women that are keeping cities clean with refuse collection vehicles and building those cities with concrete mixers. So we like to say, if you can't connect with our purpose and make a difference in the lives of others, you may not have a pulse. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that it really starts with our people. We really believe if our people get up every day and feel like they're cared for. You that have followed us back in the years, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we were a performing culture, but we weren't a real healthy culture. And we knew if we could get healthy and performing, that we felt like we could outperform our peers and outperform a lot of indices that we look at. And if you look at how we've done over the last several years, by having every strategy start with a people strategy, that's our greatest asset is our people. And then building in our product strategies, our operational strategies, our procurement strategies. We always had a plan for every part, multi-generational product plans, but now we got a plan for every person. And it's really showing in our performance. And I tell you, the awards, the recognition that we received, we never set out to win World's Most Ethical 5 years in a row. Forbes, Glassdoor, those just started coming in when we really focused on our people. The Gallup poll that said the #1 determinant of happiness is meaningful work with people who care, and we believe we're getting better at that every day. Still got a long way to go, but it's certainly showing in our people numbers as far as regrettable turnover, basically hardly any. We see a lot of good growth in development of our people in our company. So my problem is I love talking about our people and really getting you a good understanding of where our culture is here versus where it was 5 or 6 years ago. It's a tremendous leap and really a credit to our team of 15,000 people that get up every day, 148 locations around the world, and do the right thing. I love part of that introduction about recognizing that we do the right things. One of our core values, and it's equated to world's most ethical and our performance. Our other core values are we put people first, we persevere. We haven't had a lot of easy buttons over the years here in cyclical markets, but we have great teams that work through those. And then the fourth core value for us is we're better together. And that's where you're going to hear me talk a lot about how with some of the products you're going to see today, this integrated approach and sharing technology, sharing operational footprint, sharing procurement scale helps us to really stay ahead of the majority of our competitors. So I want to get to some of the products I know that you're interested in seeing. I like to say when I start talking about this, let's all put a dirty rag in your pocket, because that's kind of how we roll around here. We've got some really awesome products. And so I think on your end, I'm going to ask that you'll roll the product video. Okay. This is our largest segment. This is our access equipment segment. JLG is the big brand there. Now, by the way, every time you go around construction sites, around cities, you're going to recognize our products. I'm going to put that in your brain. You'll be like my kids. Hey, Dad, there's a JLG. Dad, there's a McNeilus. But this is the first product, the scissor lift. JLG, it really is our 24/7. They're our true global company. They have facilities in Europe, China. They have facilities down in Central and South America, Mexico. Really a neat company that we acquired back in 2006. The product behind there is what we call an aerial work platform. That product can go up to 185 feet in the air and actually drive. Tremendous product, and really you gain safety, and efficiency, productivity by using these products. This is what we're seeing, a large jump in adoption in China. They're realizing that these products can make them more productive and keep them much safer than the bamboo scaffolding. The other product that you're not seeing here that they make is called a telehandler. I call it a rough terrain forklift. That's where you'd see moving materials around a job site, lifting it up into building. Most construction sites will have several of our rough terrain forklifts moving material and other items on that construction site. And you're about to see the next segment roll in here. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about Pierce today. We've got a snow removal product here. This is an H series. That's a blower on the front of that. That can move a lot of snow in a short amount of time. This is a product that you'd see at Chicago O'Hare, your New York airports. They call them lining up on a runway. They call it a conga line, where you'd see 5 or 6 of them running side by side down and clearing those runways in a matter of minutes. I may have mentioned it a second ago. They also have a plow offering on this and a boom, so they can multi-purpose attachments to get the job done in those snowy areas. The other product that we're going to hear a little bit more detail about today, sticking with airports, this is the airport business unit of our fire and emergency segment, is the product that you do not want to see rolling at your airplane. They're showing off a little bit here in this series. They're spraying some water. This is our striker. We're selling these all around the world. This is an 8x8. We offer a 6x6 version that you'll see here behind me in a minute. And then we also offer a 4x4. A lot of airports being built around the world, and this has been a very popular product. Beijing, Philippines, Europe now, and then of course, we've had a good share of market in the US over the years. That device you see at the top, really neat. It's a elevated water stream, but it also has a penetrating nozzle, so they can punch into a fuselage and spray different types of agents, halon, compressed air foam, dry chem, and water. So really a neat product, and when you think of our fire and emergency segment, it's not just about municipal fire trucks in the US, it's also an international version. Here's one we're really proud of. You talk about integrated global here. Using material science experts in our defense area with a core competency of armor, we developed this high tensile strength ladder. Most fire trucks, when you go above 75 feet, you have to go to a tandem rear axle, 2 rear axles. When you think about New York, Boston, you lose maneuverability. So here, working together with engineering groups across our company, we developed this ladder that goes 107 feet in the air and can stay on a rear single rear axle. Again, giving them a really competitive advantage, 3 more stories of reach versus the normal 75. I hope you can hear me. We're in a major rainstorm here, and our blue floor area that we're in today is a big metal building. So I'm hoping you're hearing me over there. You're probably used to the dogs barking and the kids running on these virtual calls anyway, so maybe the rain won't distract you. But, good. We're going to hear more about the Ascendant aerial. Bob Schultz is here to talk more about that with us today, so I'll leave some of that for him. Now we'll shift to our commercial segment. I like to say here's where we talk a little trash. McNeilus brand refuse collection vehicles built over in Dodge Center, Minnesota. This segment's going through some neat transformation now with a focused factory approach, but this is a front loader. This is what you'd see coming into a commercial area, picking up a dumpster and emptying that dumpster and moving on. We also offer a side loader. That's what you'd see in most of your neighborhoods that would come in with an automated sidearm that would reach out to a can, a receptacle, and pull it up in, set your can down, and move on to the neighborhood. We also offer a rear loader, and that's kind of a popular product actually up in the Northeast. Three offerings there in refuse collection vehicles. Next up is another product in our commercial segment. This is the front discharge concrete mixer. Front discharge because you see the operator here is in full control of that chute. You see a lot of these up here in the upper Midwest where you'd have basements. This one operator can come in, pour a complete basement, and back out. We also offer a rear discharge concrete mixer. Requires a little bit more work to have somebody helping you back and working the chute. But we offer both. This is one that we actually build in Oshkosh, and then we build the rear concrete mixer at 2 other facilities in our commercial segment.
doing great.
So coming on in now, we're going to have a little bit of a defense parade, but we also participate in a lot of movies, product placement. This is a HEMT. It was in the movie Batman, Dark Knight Rises. I called it a HEMT. It's also an LVSR. We'll see some look-alike products here. The other movie product that you'll see coming in, if any of you are friends of Transformers, this is in Transformer 4. The Hound, John Goodman, played this part. Obviously, these trucks get in a lot of parades, a lot of opportunities for us to build an organizational brand with some of our product placement. Now we're going to go a little quicker here through some of the military products. This is our HET. HET is a heavy equipment transport. This is what you would see all over Iraq, Afghanistan, in all kinds of applications, pulling a tank on a trailer, moving the heavy equipment for our soldiers and Marines. This is a P-19. Again, another collaborative effort where the Pierce Fire Apparatus team worked with the Oshkosh Defense team. This is air transportable. This is what you'd see our military forward deploying into a base where they may be setting up operations so they have fire protection on their airfield. Here's our HEMT. General Schwarzkopf called this the new camel of the desert. In our new ship of the desert, there was a couple of different names there, but Operation Desert Storm, that big wave that went across the rough terrain of the desert, everybody kept saying, how will you keep logistics up? Well, this was the new camel that kept supplies to our soldiers and Marines as they moved very quickly across the desert. This is another example of expanding the variant. You saw the Hound, the FMTV, Family of Medium Tactical Vehicles. This is the next variant to that. We call it the FMTV A2. Again, medium tactical wheeled vehicle. A lot of logistics work that this vehicle does, but we added suspension and armor to this. Again, another step up for our already really neat product. This is a great story here. A lot of you were around and knew we'd acquired JLG 2006. 2007, they did right around $3 billion. 2008, they did $1 billion. So we had a serious problem on our hand. We had bank covenants coming at us. Just a rough time. Right move acquisition-wise, but tough time from a market standpoint. So this opportunity came up on the MRAP, the MATV, mine-resistant, ambush protected. And we'd never really built mediums. And there was a thought here that maybe we weren't capable of, and quite honestly, from a financial standpoint, could we lean forward? We didn't really have a ton of money at the time, but we pushed through it and leaned forward, and we're able to build close to 9,000 of these in less than a year. Secretary of Defense, Bill Gates, came a couple times and talked about how it was one of the fastest military truck buildups in U.S. history. So another really proud moment for us. The Humvee was not protecting our soldiers and Marines. That flat floor didn't have good off-road mobility. Here we had both. We had suspension, and then we had mine protection from the IED blast. V-hull, one-piece capsule. What was really cool about this, I mentioned JLG was a wake of destruction. Well, we built a third of these at JLG. We built most of the capsules at JLG. I was actually president of JLG at the time, and you talk about a unifying effort to really get integrated JLG with Oshkosh. It was just a super time, and really one of those things that I think helped meld our company to be that integrated global industrial. This is another neat project. So the JLTV, Joint Light Tactical Vehicle, joint because it's Marines and Army. We were working on this program for about 10 years. And basically it's a MRAP with about a third less the weight. And so we built some variants, and we wanted to really test it. So we went and ran the Baja race with this, and actually finished first in our classification. Learned a lot about this product. And so when you hear me talk about the maneuverability of a Baja racer, we did it. We ran it. Really learned a ton, and I think it really helped us get into the test and development phase of the program and prevailed. There were 3 big bidders in this contest, and long and short of it is we really won. We won in a big way. So now you're going to see some of the JLTVs show off a little bit. I mentioned the suspension of the MRAP. Well, this is even better. So you'll see those wheels, that's 20 inches of wheel travel, but look at the mirrors and the windows. And you'll notice the faster they go, the more stable the vehicle is. Soldier fatigue is a big deal for our soldiers and Marines. And in the Humvee, when they can go over those 4-foot moguls about 5 miles an hour, These vehicles can go significantly faster over that, and you'll see some of that here. But again, watch the windows and the mirrors. So when they get to an engagement, they're not dizzy, they're not sick at their stomach. They actually have their faculties about them where they can engage and do what they need to do. We've built a lot of these, and we aim to build a lot more. But this truck will afford 5 feet of water, the 20 inches of wheel travel. It's got the armor protection of a light tank. So this vehicle will go anywhere in the world. And if you have followed us, you know we are now selling them to our international allies in Europe. We've started receiving some of those orders. So truly going to help defense be even more, have more revenue from an international standpoint. That was his grand finale, jumping off that 20-inch curb there. So that really about wraps it up for our product display, our truck rodeo, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully you can see the balance in this company and the different types of products, and you can see the procurement scale we have. A lot of tires, wheels, transmissions, axles, combined with great engineering, sharing technology, and then adding that with our operational footprint where we can build multi-segment products in areas, regions around the world that give them that competitive advantage. They're actually going to come in now and kneel. These trucks will kneel, so they'll fit on the C-130. They can actually drop them out of a plane. Again, awesome product. One of those foundational products that's going to enable us to continue to really do well in our defense segment. So that wraps that up. I'll ask the moderator, what we kind of planned to do was get through most of the product demonstrations and save the questions for last. If that's okay, we'll keep moving. That sound okay?
Yep.
Okay. So again,
We got the virtual plant tour, I think.
Right. So you can't be here.
In New York.
Right. You can't be here, but what we're going to put you in our plant and let you take a tour. You know, what you're going to see here is probably different than any other manufacturing plant you've been in. I remember when I first arrived, I realized we didn't do anything the same way twice. Every truck, we're in a delivery area here, and every truck in here is different. And you'll see a lot of people that come in call it the snowflake factory because there's not a lot of standard work in here. But this group has done a super job of lowering complexity with a simplification effort and really segregating the business with platform teams. And that's who you're going to hear from later today. But now I'm going to let the moderator turn it over. I believe Bill Kirk is going to start us on a tour through this neat plant called Pierce.
Hello, I am Bill Kyle, an area manager here at Pierce Manufacturing. And today I would like to take you through a walk to show you how a fire truck is built. All right, so here we are. We landed in our frame-up area. These are where the birth of the truck is what I call it, the birth of the truck. And these frames are started over here. We actually build it from the ground up. We grab these frame rails, we put them in each different pockets, and it actually progresses from one station to the next. Once it progresses from here, it goes on to the paint. Once it's painted, we send it over into our tire bay to get the tires installed, and we move it on to the next part of our chassis process. All right, here we are in the paint shop where we have the cab and the body is the major components that are here. We take them from IPP, we strip them, and we start applying our metal finishing, and we finish up the paint on there to supply to the cab line or the body line to get started. We also do some of the other smaller components for the truck. We paint the bumper, we paint fenders, so on and so forth, to make sure we're supplying the rest of the manufacturing lines out there. Here we are in our paint lab. As you can see here, we are climbing into almost the 300 range of different variations or shades of red that the customer gets to check on. We have other paint colors throughout here in the paint lab that customers come in, they inspect, and pick what color they want for their truck. Here we are in what we call is the tunnel. These are the red four-way carts. These parts are stripped off the body when the body is delivered from IPP. Paint shop strips these parts off, and then these carts, we got them staged up with the job numbers, And as it progresses throughout the final assembly portion, so the body line or the module line could start grabbing these parts, and then all the way through the final assembly portion, they start reinstalling these parts. Again, these parts are all pre-fit and ready to be installed. On the left of me is our painted parts bin. We have the job numbers tagged per bin, so that way when the final assembly group team starts needing some of these smaller parts, components, we'll come out here, we'll find the job number, we'll start grabbing them, and then installing, whether it's on the module line, the pre-line, or one of the lanes. We'll grab these parts and install them over there. Right now we're walking into the body line or the module line. The body is built over or welded up over at our other facility at the IPP plants. Once it gets over here, we strip the body, we send it to paint, and then we put the body onto the module line. A lot of these parts are pre-fit over at IPP, and we reinstall them over here. And then we start installing as many components as we can onto the body before we mount it over on the pre-line. All right, we've now made it from frame up to chassis line station 1. There's a line of 5 trucks, so stations 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On this line, we start installing the main chassis harness. The engine is installed along with the radiator. All right, we're at the end of chassis lines 1 through 5, so we are in station 5, and we do have all of our chassis for our Appleton units go down all of chassis line, and it's determined if the rest of the truck is built at our ASY function, our IPP, or our CBN function over in Neenah. This truck behind me is an aerial, and this will be going off to our CBN team as we progress this truck and get it through the rest of the chassis line. We will get it over there. But as you can see here at the end of the line of Station 5, the engine is mounted, the depth tank is now in, we have air lines ran for the brakes, so on and so forth. Here we are at another critical installation of the build assembly. We have our cab line over here. A lot of components are getting installed. Our cabs are welded up over at our other facility, kind of like the bodies. Once they are built, they're over here. They come over here, they get painted, and then we start reassembling some of the components that the IPP team put on. Once reassembled, we started putting in a lot more of the components. Once it hits here, we are getting ready to mount the cab onto the chassis. Here we are at Station 9 of the chassis line. In Station 9, we install the pump onto the chassis. We then progress it over into Station 10, where we actually get the truck up and running and able to maneuver the truck throughout the yard here at Pierce. Here we are in the chassis line, stations 11 through 15. We have the truck up and running now, but we are putting in the final checks, calibrations on these trucks, doing all the sorts of things that we should be doing before we mount the body onto the chassis. We are also doing an air conditioning test and some other calibration tests that are done on the truck. Here we are getting to the pre-line, and on the pre-line here in Station 3, this is a key focal point within the final assembly or the assembly portion. Every major component is now installed. We have the body installed, and here in Station 3, we now have the water tank installed. As you can see, we brought the water tank in for this truck right here. We are going to begin to prep the water tank, get everything ready to go before this truck advances into Station 3. And then once it's in Station 3, we'll lift the tank up, we'll install it, and we'll start making all of our connections. We're walking into here the final assembly portion of the build. And within the final assembly portion, we separated the trucks into content of trucks and how we are building these trucks. So as you can see, lane 1 is down there. Lane 1 is more of our lower content trucks, and it progresses on down to lane 2, where is our medium content, and then we get into lane 3, where is our high content trucks of the final assembly portion. As we're in here on the final assembly portion, we're getting ready for these trucks to send it off to our pump test team. A lot of heavy stuff is done on these trucks. We do the compartmentation, so the shelves, the tool boards, that sort of thing. We also assemble the hose bed, is put together, grading, dividers, hose bed covers. Also the cargo area is put together, so we're installing the generator. We're also doing a pre-pump function. We're checking to make sure that this truck is going to be ready to be pumped. Another operation is we get it road ready. We're making sure that this truck is ready to go on the road. So we're doing a lot of things here at the end of the portion to make sure that these trucks are ready to go for the customer. Other parts of the build is we'll install the hood of a Velocity. We'll install the brow light on the truck. We're putting on final lights on the outside of the truck, AC floodlights, so on and so forth, to make sure that everything is buttoned up and ready to go on these trucks. These trucks come from our pre-line. So pre-line feeds all of the lanes. They feed lanes 1, lane 2, and lane 3. So once they come off a pre-line, it's determined which line they're going to go to, and it progresses from there. Here we are on the manufacturing release line. These trucks are about a day away from getting released to graphics. We are doing our final paint inspection. We are putting on any sort of loose ends, tying up loose tasks, those sort of things to minimize anything that's going out to the top team. All these trucks have a criteria they have to make before we release these trucks onto graphics. Here we are in our graphics department. As you can see, our gold leaf is being installed over here by this gentleman, and we also have separate layouts for the customer, so the graphics team is working off the order that we're going through. We could potentially have customers in here right now that are working on their layout graphics package, and then we could be working on any sort of changes that we're working on in the trucks also for the graphics. Here we are in Checkout West. These trucks have either been inspected by the customer or they are about a day away from the customer coming in to inspect these trucks. We are doing our final checkpoints to make sure they're ready to go for the customer, or we are installing some final key components for the customer right before we go ahead and ship the truck to the customer. We've made it to the blue floor. We are on the blue floor now where customers come in and inspect their trucks. We line up the blue floor for all the inspections for that day or maybe the day of or day before. We get them all ready to go on the blue floor here. The customer comes in, inspects the truck. They may take these trucks out on a road trip. They may go pump them. And pretty much whatever they want to do with these trucks, we allow them to take them on. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed your tour. Be safe.
I hope you enjoyed that. You finished right on the blue floor here. We tried again, sorry. I mentioned earlier, 80 to 100 customers a day coming in here. So you saw where they kind of come in and do their final inspections. A big part of the Pierce experience here is those customer relationships. And I actually came in today, I texted this guy here, and we had 2 or 3 different fire departments in from there I grew up. And sometimes you wonder if my friends here, I don't know if they're trying to get promotions or what. We'll ask Jack here in a second. But if you look at what we're going to go to first here, Jack Birmingham he's the platform team leader in our airport business unit, and this is the Stryker unit. But if you look up here, this is from Denton, Texas, my hometown. And when I grew up there, we didn't even have an airport. So it's nice to see this is going to go into my old backyard, Jack, and I'll turn it over to you and let you tell them a little bit about the Stryker.
Absolutely. Thanks, Wilson. Again, this is an aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle that we call the Stryker that's built up here at Pierce Manufacturing. A few things about the Stryker. Really, it's a unique product category within the fire apparatus market, really geared towards airports specifically. And kind of what makes it unique is that it does carry all of its water and foam and agent from the firehouse to anywhere on the airport. We like to call it a kind of the race car of fire trucks, where its response time needs to get to that point on the runway within 2 minutes of leaving the fire station. So it really is a race car, as I described. Let me share with you a few of the key differentiators that are available only on our strikers. Let's start up front here with the cab and the unparalleled visibility of the striker cab. Most strikers are built with a center steer configuration. Center steer coupled with the tapered front windows offers superior visibility, giving the crew an unimpeded view of the runway. The cab contains 84 square feet of glass and a 238-degree horizontal viewing area, so the ARF operator can remain in complete control when assessing and approaching a scene. The cab itself is tested to and exceeds the latest US and EU cab crush requirements, really allowing us to export this truck all over the globe. We're also utilizing numerous other Oshkosh proprietary technologies, designs that are proven and backed by Oshkosh's truck building experience. These designs include the Oshkosh Power Divider, which allows the striker to both discharge water and drive at the same time, a key characteristic of an ARF truck. Another feature that this truck has is TAC 4 independent suspension. TAC 4 independent suspension increases vehicle mobility, improves ride quality over rough and uneven terrain, and is also featured on both Pierce Manufacturing and Oshkosh Defense products. Another key feature of this is that ARF trucks are four-wheel drive or six-wheel drive all the time, and Oshkosh Corporation has designed the Oshkosh transfer case, which actually shares some very unique characteristics with our commercial segment's S-Series product line, which really shows the leverage of the corporation.
Jack, this could easily be the Philippines, Beijing, Manchester.
Absolutely.
Really, I mentioned it earlier, but really become a nice growth product for our fire and emergency segment to continue the good path that they're on municipally, but also go international. A lot of airports being built around the world, and we're certainly, I think your order activity, even during COVID, has been pretty good.
Absolutely.
Is that fair?
Yep.
So a lot of fire departments in airports looking to expand and grow their fleets as air service picks back up.
Yep. Thank you, Wilson. You know, a few other things for reasons why people buy this truck is also the innovative fire technology. If you look at this truck, it shares a lot of the same characteristics as an Oshkosh Defense vehicle, but also with Pierce Manufacturing. So it's really a blend of our two segments that shows through in this product. You know, the striker comes equipped with a 2,000 gallon per minute pump that can actually discharge all 3,000 gallons within 90 seconds as soon as it comes to that potential incident on the airport. You know, the truck also has a designed and built Oshkosh high volume low attack bumper turret, which can provide a low attack angle up underneath the fuselage and wings of an aircraft. All of these different options just create a lot of versatility for our operators. And as we move back further along to the rear of the truck, I'm gonna also hit on one last point here, which is really around serviceability. These vehicles, their mission is to be ready whenever there might be an incident at an airport, and serviceability is critical to keeping these vehicles up and running. As you can see here, we have a full walk-in service compartment. The service compartment allows full access really at a full height to allow airport technicians to get inside the vehicles, access the engine, the filters, different oil locations to ensure that the vehicles are up and running at all times. You know, with over 5,000 ARF vehicles built that we have exported to over 100 countries around the globe, it's these innovations and differentiators leveraging the scale of Oshkosh Corporation that really set the striker apart in the industry. Thanks. Back to you, Wilson.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, awesome product with awesome opportunities coming at us here.
Absolutely.
So we're going to move over here now to another really cool product. This was actually introduced when I was here. One of the big things that we always thought in the fire industry was having enough compartment space, yet still having the proper pump. And so John Schultz is going to tell you a little bit about this invention that's really been a game changer for us in the custom pumper world, and one of those, again, that's been proprietary to us here at Pierce. So John Schultz, take it away.
Thank you so much, Wilson. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. Really, as Wilson mentioned, the puck product for us certainly has been a game-changing technology. Since it was introduced in 2007, the Pierce puck was really designed really with a no-compromise solution for departments around the world. So since our introduction, we've been able to sell almost 3,000 of these products to different departments around the world. So one of the features of the puck, that product, is it really eliminates the pump house. So the traditional pump house that you see on an overall fire truck has been eliminated, which really allows the customers to take and design a solution for them rather than having to design a solution essentially around the fire pump. So we've been able to take and minimize the overall fire suppression space that's occupied on the vehicle while really maximizing compartmentation and improving maneuverability for the fire department. Really, there are three other game-changing features that I want to take and highlight for you today on this awesome product. First is really around ease of use. So whether we're talking about simplified pump operation, so shifting the pump into gear is as simple as a 2-shift operation in the cab. We also have integrated such things such as very ergonomic valve controls like we show here, as well as a multifunctional Pierce pressure governor that we have on this product. All of these things are designed really to simplify fireground operations for the department while they're using this product. The second attribute I'd like to talk about with the puck is really around safety. And really, this truck is safer to operate than traditional products. One of those big safety advantages that we're able to do with this product is take and move all of the hose connections away from the controls that actually operate the fire pump. Traditionally, with a fire truck, those two things would essentially be coupled together, which would sometimes get the pump operator in harm's way. So this product has really been able to take and move those hose connections away from those controls, a big safety benefit for the department. The other thing that we've been able to do with this product is take very high frequency used items and bring them to an area that's very accessible for the department. So one of those items, as you see, is right here, which is in the crosslay area. So bringing a very commonly used hose area, bringing it down to a very ergonomic, easy to use element for the department. Another area at the back of the truck would be around ladder storage. So ground ladders are very typical on pumper products. Typically, they're stored in an area that requires a department to have to either climb on top of the vehicle, and that could lead to injury. So we'll be able to bring those down, store them such that they can grab the ground ladders and deploy them very safely. And finally, the other attribute I'd like to talk about is really around serviceability. We did not forget about the mechanic in this overall package solution here. Serviceability to the fire pump and all of the relative components is as easy as tilting the cab on this product. All of the storage solutions that we package in this area are removable such that the mechanic can perform that service by just tilting the cab, and they have full access to all of the fire suppression components. They're not having to spend time disassembling the pump house to gain access to those things. And then finally, the overall maintenance is able to be done on all of those fire suppression components above the frame rail. So the mechanic doesn't have to crawl underneath the vehicle to perform that service. So we're really able to reduce overall service time and keep these vehicles in service. This product is available on our pumper products, rescue products, tankers, as well as aerials, and has really been a great fit for departments around the country. Really appreciate your time today, and with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Wilson.
Great job, John.
Thank you.
I heard some of them during the video talking offline about how cool the JLTV was. And so I always get asked, what's your favorite product? And, that's a question I don't answer very well. But just so you know, Pierce has cool products too, as John just showed you. Watch this step right here. Can you see that?
Yes, this is.
How about that? Now there's another cool thing you can put on your wish list there. So you heard how this product has expanded with variants. So when we find a real competitive advantage, we continue to expand it. And another great story, I know a lot of you heard us talk about the Ascendant Aerial. Well, here is a really neat product that has evolved. I believe it's the 6th variant now. This is Bob Schultz. He's our platform leader of aerials. And I'm going to turn it over to him now and let him tell you about this Ascendant product line.
Appreciate it, Wilson. I do appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all today about the Ascendant 100-foot mid-mount tower product that you see here right next to me. This product really has evolved the aerial market in the last 2 years since its launch. The tower was the 6th innovative aerial to our Ascendant class of vehicles, as Wilson mentioned, starting with the 107 single axle product that you mentioned earlier, and now to our 6th product here. To date, we've actually sold nearly 200 of these units across North America, and the product adoption is really attributable to the capabilities of the product. So I want to point out some of the key differentiators that really make this product helpful to serving the firefighter's mission. So first is the maneuverability. You'll see, the magic comes down to the packaging of the aerial device. A lot jammed in there, quite honestly, but the team did a great job packaging it to reduce the overall height as well as to shorten the overall length of the product. By shortening that overall length, your back here on your back end is much shorter than traditional mid-mount products, which actually reduces what's called tail swing when you turn. That is a common industry issue that we've addressed. Additionally, our engineering team did a great job with some of the smaller details. If you want to go back to the back corner here, you'll see the rear corners are actually chamfered, again, to reduce tail swing. In addition to the shorter overall length, this product weighs less than other products in the past, which ultimately helps with shorter stopping distances and improved ride quality, especially when paired with our TAC4 independent suspension, which Jack talked about earlier today. Actually, all 3 of these vehicles here today have TAC4 independent suspension on it. So some other features that make this product different than anything else in the market. You know, when our firefighters and first responders respond, time is of the utmost importance. This product actually sets up in 30 seconds or less because of the integrated ground pads here that are, again, exclusive to Pierce on the mid-stabilizers. It actually only requires a 20-foot setback from a building, and you can see the basket here actually can be deployed to the ground for ease of access. This allows firefighters to set up and operate the aerial in places that they've never been able to do before. Beyond setting up in tight spaces, it can reach 20 degrees below grade with a 50-degree side-to-side scrub area because of the unique body design right up here. Ultimately, this product doesn't come to market because of a few people sitting in a room. It's really attributable to the broader collaboration across Oshkosh's family of products, as well as the wide diversity of thought and resources that exist within the organization. This product actually created what you're seeing here, that collaboration actually created what you're seeing here, but it also evolved into 8 patents that have been issued on this product, as well as 8 more that are pending. But most importantly, it evolved into a product that exceeds anything else in the market that actually helps support our firefighters' mission profiles. Thank you, Wilson.
This is a great story. When I was here, we had a void here. We didn't have a mid-mount. We had one, but it wasn't competitive. So we started, if you look up, you can see Clark County there. That's the Ascendant aerial you saw on the rodeo, the single rear axle. And we've built off that, and now we've filled this gap. So every competitive area of aerials, we have a major player in it now, making a big difference in our aerial market share too, Bob. And you can probably tell by looking, these are our highest margin products that you're looking at today. So we want to pour the fuel on those fires, don't we, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Hey, I want to thank all of our 3 platform leaders. Nice job. I think we're going to turn it back over to the moderator now. And I will say, I apologize, we probably went a little long, don't have a lot of time for questions, but as you can tell, we're proud of our products here at Pierce, and we had some great big team leaders to share that with you today.
Thank you, Wilson. Fantastic. Those trucks and products are absolutely beautiful. My name is David Allen. In the interest of time, I'm going to very quickly introduce our panelists. I want to also express our gratitude, Wilson, Patrick, who did a great job teeing up this session. We also really appreciate your mission for municipal safety and national security. So thanks very much. It's my pleasure to introduce Steve Barger, Managing Director and Equity Research Analyst with KeyBank Capital Markets, Jamie Cook, Managing Director at Credit Suisse, and Sector Head for for their U.S. capital goods team. Stanley Elliott is a director in the Diversified Industrials Research Team at Stifel. And Chris Meeker is a portfolio manager and analyst at Franklin Mutual Advisors. Steve, let's start with you. Give us your perspective at 40,000 feet about Oshkosh. Let's go through in the same order, and then we'll cycle back through, starting with Steve and ending with Chris, with your questions for Wilson. Thank you, Steve. The floor is yours.
Sure. From my perspective, Oshkosh is a very high-quality, diversified manufacturer of construction equipment, vocational trucks, and defense trucks, and it's been a really great evolution to watch this company kind of develop its product portfolio and really improve its operational performance over time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Jamie?
Hi, thanks for having me. So when I speak to investors about Oshkosh, again, I talk to the quality of the company. I think they're unique in the sense that they offer investors earnings visibility through the defense and the fire and emergency sector, coupled with cyclical leverage of the access equipment in the commercial vehicle segment. I think the MOVE strategy that they've implemented has been instrumental in improving margins. We've seen that in fire and emergency. We think commercial is next to come. And then last, I would finish with just very high quality balance sheet, consistent capital allocation program, which is giving back to shareholders through paying a dividend and share repurchase. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie. Stanley?
Yeah, when we talk to investors, we like to highlight differentiation within the portfolio. I think it's not too terribly often that you have a company with so many different cyclical exposures, but can touch so many different parts. We focus a lot on the cash flow piece, the return on invested capital piece. We like the market position in all of the different products and how they're able to leverage the technology across all the different brands.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stanley.
Yeah, so we've been an investor in Oshkosh now for a couple of years, and it's a company that I've monitored for even longer than that, and finally got an opportunity to make an investment a couple of years ago. The things that stuck out to me, that attracted me to the investment, were strong balance sheet, consistent free cash flow generation, and most importantly, a commitment to return a fair amount of that cash to shareholders, the operational execution through multiple cycles, and then the relative diversity of their end market exposures, public, private, and defense, providing protection and upside potential in different end market environments.
Thanks, Chris. That's great. Well, that's a good opening round. Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you for your specific questions for Wilson. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Wilson, good to see you. I think I first met you.
Steve.
Yeah, I think I first met you at FDIC back in 2007 or 8. You've had an excellent run.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'd like to ask about Pierce and the fire business. How much of a competitive advantage or a differentiator is the dealer network? And can you talk about how you and they work together to win in the marketplace?
Yeah, I would say it's a big competitive advantage. We've built that over the years. It's a very collaborative effort. They're very involved in our product planning. You know, they have the interface with the customers, the true voice of the customer. So we have to listen to that. And then it's interesting. A big part of our distribution channel, they're volunteer firefighters. So they know what it's like to be a firefighter. And they help us make the right choices in our new product development. But we've seen a real commitment from them is investment in life cycle services. They're building new buildings, investing in service trucks, and they know the better they take care of the customer, the better they can grow their businesses. And, you know, this is not a low bid product. And so if they don't have that aftermarket sales and service, we won't be successful. So it is a big differentiator that we have, and one that we leverage on a daily basis.
And you have strong market share for most products across the segments, including Pierce. Given that market position, how do you think about driving organic growth longer term, and how does that influence your acquisition discussions?
Sure. You know, the blocking and tackling of us, Steve, and you know us, simplify, simplify, simplify. We're taking so much complexity out of this business today, and you're seeing it equate to our internal efficiencies. The other big component is innovation. We can grow, you know, this is a product line we basically didn't sell a few years ago. So organically, we can grow that through new product development. What helps us do it that way is it's not a big capital investment. So our ROIC is in a good spot. It's one of our growth drivers. and we'll continue to do that. But again, the panelists all know us. We're in the best position we've ever been in this company. And what I mean by that is we're going to generate cash. Our balance sheet's never been in better shape. You know, you look at all of our ratings, you look at where we are as a company and how we've lowered that bottom line. Think about JLG back in the recession, they lost a lot of money. They just delivered less than 20% decrementals. So we've really transformed this business where we have jumping off points. We like to say there's options or opportunities. We want to be smart with our capital allocation strategy. I think we've shown that's important. And repurchasing shares, growing our dividend, opportunistic on M&A. The nice thing today, all segments are positioned to do partnerships, potential JVs. If you think of the Defense Department today, there's a lot of primes working together. And just picking on our defense segment, they're known as great integrators. And so we're in a lot of conversations today on working cooperatively with people. May not buy a company, but we work close together and grow the company that way. So it's an exciting time. I remember trying to join with the company. We were very traditional, and today we have just this breadth of opportunities that we actually look at and study going forward.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. So in the essence of time, Jamie, go ahead with your questions and let us try to speed it up just a touch because I believe Wilson has another commitment in about 10 minutes. Go ahead, Jamie. Thank you.
Thanks. So Wilson, we sort of talked about the benefits of the MOVE strategy, improving your returns and margins. I guess the E in MOVE stands for emerging markets. So can you talk to a couple of the biggest opportunities you see to grow your business overseas and whether the margins or returns are different in overseas relative to North America? Thanks.
Sure. Thanks for joining us, Jamie. We showed you the Stryker, airport rescue firefighting. A lot of airports being built there. So we see good opportunities international for fire and emergency with that. Fire and emergency had a good run of selling custom pumpers into China. That slowed a little bit with government relations going on, but we're seeing a little bit of pickup in activity now. And we think that will come back for us. So fire and emergency's got some good opportunities there. They've also been selling the Stryker in Europe. And we had never really been able to penetrate Europe. And now we're in there. So that'd be the fire and emergency side. Then you look at JLG. I know you know enough about us, Jamie. We've got a facility now in China. There's a lot of product adoption going on there. So we see that as a real growth market. And to answer your question, when we went to China, we knew margins weren't going to be as good because you have to invest in SG&A to plant that market. Now, as we're growing our volumes, we'll be able to keep that and even lower the SG&A in some way. So we'll improve margins there. Internationally has always been, Europe's been a little tougher market on the margin side for JLG because you got a lot of local manufacturers there. But again, through our simplification efforts, new product development, we believe we can always focus on enhancing our margins. And you've seen JLG certainly do that in North America. I think the opportunities for defense, we're just scratched the surface internationally. We've had 3 international customers come in, allies, and put in JLTV orders. Just got a nice, actually, 4th order from Belgium. And we'd never sold in Belgium before. Been a tough market, big local manufacturer there. So that gives us promise. There's probably 8, 9 other countries there that are doing trials. And so they're not going to be the order size of the U.S., but they're going to be a good addition to our international defense business. And then I think, we've been successful in the Middle East over the years with our allies, and we continue to see opportunities there. Little tighter market at this time, but we do know that one of the largest militaries in the world, and so we'll continue to stay close to them.
Great. And I guess just my follow-up question. A lot of us analysts have pitched you sort of a higher quality industrial type company. What type of companies do you benchmark yourself against so you can continue to sort of achieve best-in-class results? And how has that changed under your leadership?
Yeah, you've watched this again, Jamie, so I always feel like I'm telling you things but we were neophytes 6-7 years ago in terms of 80-20. It's like any other company. When we do something, we rename it. So we call it simplification. it's 80-20. And we benchmarked back then with two really good companies, ITW and PACCAR. And what's interesting now today, companies are coming to us to benchmark because of our operational performance. A lot of them come to us and want to understand how we simplify a process, in finance, in treasury. It's not just about on the manufacturing floor. So it's been an interesting run, and we were not real sophisticated back then. And I'm not saying we've arrived yet, but we're working on it. And it is flattering now when we have other companies coming to us and say, "Can we benchmark with you? We know you have some best-in-class operational stuff, procurement, the way we managed through our supply chain issues through COVID." Real credit to the team. So it's been interesting to watch the evolution, and I know you've watched it too.
Great.
Very good.
Great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Wilson. Stanley, over to you.
Yeah, hey, Wilson. Good to see you guys.
Hey, Stanley.
Can you talk a little bit about the performance culture? I mean, you go to the trade shows, you get a real sense of the buy-in that you have from the employees, whether it's protecting people at heights or the fire engines or the military. I would love to see kind of what you've seen and how really how that's evolved over time. Would love to get your thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah, the DNA in this company, Stanley, is from a perseverance standpoint, it's unbelievable. Our groups just don't know how to give up. If you remember the JLTV, we were kicked out early on in the program, and they didn't give up. And on our own finances, we stayed in there and prevailed. I like to say winning's a habit. It's hard to beat people who get up every day and believe they can win. And we do that because we focus on our people. Three main areas, Stanley: engage, develop, and connect. And that's what our people said they wanted. And so our development and leadership, 7 years ago, we didn't have leadership classes. Managers managed to manipulate people for results. And now we've changed all that up. We don't do the traditional 6-month performance review and then 12-month performance review. We have frequent, meaningful conversations with everybody. We build relationships. Relationships win the day. And it is really showing in our results. Our markets last 3 or 4 years haven't been growing. And outside of COVID, right at a 38% earnings per share compound annual growth rate. And so a lot of questions I get is, what's the secret? And we've got good strategies. Jamie mentioned MOVE, which has really worked well for us. It's been a North Star for our people to rally around, but it really is, we've empowered our people. 15,000 people working together, collaborating. We got the competitive stuff out of our internal manufacturing, internal companies, and people are working a lot better together, and we're seeing more movement across segments. It's just been neat evolution and a lot of work. And I'll be honest with you, in 2015, we did an engagement survey, and it was bad. I told our board then it'd probably take us 4 to 5 years to improve those engagement scores. Our team came to me and said, 18 months, we think we need to do another survey. And I thought they were crazy. But I agreed to do it. And in 18 months, by delivering what we said we were going to do, what our team said they wanted, we improved double digits in every area of those engagement scores. So it really confirmed that our people want this to be their company. And again, I think it just promotes a real winning attitude. You heard from 3 of our leaders here today that I wouldn't want to compete with them on these products. And that's what they fuel the distribution channel with. So it's really been a good focus on people, Stanley. And leadership, we get a lot of credit. We just get to talk about it. The team's what doing all this work, and they do great work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stanley.
Stanley, thank you. Chris, over to you.
Yeah, hey Wilson, thanks for doing this, and I know we're running short on time, but I've mentioned it to Pat multiple times in the past, but I've used Oshkosh as a case study for a lot of other companies that we're invested in, where I thought there could be a similar kind of operational improvement strategy. So we use you as a case study for a lot of other companies that we're invested in. But with regard to my question, we often gravitate to companies that have an ROIC component and their executive compensation. We tend to be longer term investors, maybe 3 to 5 years. Maybe just talk a little bit about how kind of an ROIC mindset helps Oshkosh make both kind of operational and capital allocation decisions.
Yeah, great question, Chris. Thanks for participating today. It's one of our growth drivers. We call it one of the big value drivers. It's actually part of leadership's metric for performance shares. And so it is front and center. We look at every project and make sure we're earning our cost of capital with a hurdle rate. And so it focuses our teams to focus on that 80-20, where they can create value and still drive good ROIC. I think the innovation that we're working on, along with simplification, allows us to keep a good ROIC in place, at the same time, not spending a lot of big capital. And so we work with that model, and our teams are that's one way we measure them. So it's a big focus area. Our value drivers are really about sales growth, operating income margin, and ROIC.
Great. I don't know if we have time for another question, but if we do, maybe just briefly, talk about some of the competitive advantages that you've built in fire and emergency, which has been a real success story on the margin front. How are you translating those successes to what you're doing in the commercial segment?
Yeah, we don't believe in reinventing wheel. We call it bill of material reuse is really good. And so there's a great playbook in play here at Pierce, and you've seen it in their margins. They started earlier, and it's proved out for them. They've really simplified this business. They've gotten focused on the right products. They realize that they have to manage that customer order process, and there's ways of saying no and showing alternatives that are better not only for the company, but for the customer too. And so a lot of that playbook works well in our other segments. So commercial has that playbook, and you just saw them make a move. They were trying to build refuse trucks and concrete mixers in the same plant. And what we've learned here is when you get your platforms lined up in the right way and team members focused on those lines, you get consistency, a lot of efficiencies. So we just split mixers out of commercial, and now we have a focused refuse collection vehicle plant and a focused concrete mixer plant. So I think you saw the fourth quarter margins for commercial. They came up. And they've still got a long way to go. They have a bit of a challenge there because most of their products are built on commercial chassis. We don't build that chassis. So it's tougher to mark that chassis up. And then they have some competitive pressures on the concrete mixer side. No other really publicly traded companies. So that puts some pressure on their margins, but that doesn't mean they can't enhance margins. And they're certainly focused on that. Defense has got good simplification going on, and we've certainly seen that. Obviously, some of the programs are very competitive to win those, so the margins are pressured early on, but it's always a goal to improve those margins. And then you know the story at JLG. They've lowered that bottom line, become more efficient. It really has been fun to see that. Every cycle, they get better, and when we've come out of every cycle, we have actually go to a higher peak. So again, they're positioned well. All of our segments are positioned well for recovery. And you add in our balance sheet, the cash generation available to us, more importantly, the great leadership team that I get to work with every day. I really like where this company is.
Thank you, Wilson. Steve, Jamie, Stanley, and Chris, stay here. We're going to ask Wilson to hang on for just a few more minutes. We have audience questions queued up from the CFA audience. And over to you, Rob Rowan. Thank you.
Thank you, David. The first question is, does the Pierce manufacturing facility or your other facilities use robotics? And does Oshkosh, as a rule across the board, use AI or other machine learning tools?
Yes, we do. We are expanding into digital manufacturing. We've gone from the mechanical world to the digital world. This business, as you see, very custom. So not a lot of robotics, but we can automate certain processes, fabrication area, welding area. So where we can, we do, but you have to be careful in a cyclical business and not get too much fixed overhead, because in a downturn, that's troublesome. And so we always balance our footprint on make versus buy related to the fixed costs. How much variable costs can we keep in the business? Because we do know most of our business are going to go through some cycles. But AI, I think you'd be impressed to see the way we've advanced on data analytics. We've got several data scientists in our company today driving good analytics. We get good information from our telematics. And it's making us a smarter company on how to better serve customers and how to better design products.
Great, thank you. And second and last question for you, because I know you're working on a deadline. Are the current tariffs and the tariff war impacting any of your locations, international trade relations, et cetera?
So steel was a problem for us. We buy the majority of our steel in the U.S., and we buy a significant amount. If you think of JLG, our commercial products, and steel manufacturers went up about 40% because they could. I don't know that we disagree with the tariffs, because I understand we got a fair trade. And where we really, again, impressed, I think, not only our board of directors, but our shareholders, is we didn't have pricing erosion. We did surcharges, we increased prices. Our customers, we had good discussions, again, because we have that good relationship and that good after-sales service and support. They stayed with us. And so we navigated through it, and margins actually improved. And so we're hoping as we move forward, we think we've got a handle on that, but that's something that you monitor every day. But overall, we navigated through that, and we'll see what happens now in the next administration.
There are no more questions for the Oshkosh folks.
Well, if I could, if I just say thank you for doing this. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. We certainly appreciate your interest in our company. I'm got to go jump on a plane. I think Pat can probably stick here, and if you need him for anything, he's nodding his head like, thanks, Wilson, appreciate that. But again, thank you. It's nice to spend some time with you.
Thank you, Wilson.
Are we still on?
We're on, and I believe if no other questions come up for you, Patrick, would love to hear from Leo. And Patrick, thanks again for your help in organizing this. It's been great.
Hey, thank you. And everybody on this webcast, we hope you can get out here in person someday. Come and visit us in Wisconsin, visit our defense facilities, Oshkosh, and Pierce here in Appleton. We enjoy having you.
Pat Davidson, thank you very much. Wilson Jones, big thanks to you and the whole Oshkosh team. I just want to wrap up and say thank you all for being a part of this event. And I would like to just highlight one of the things Wilson has kind of made a point of, and I just want to reiterate, when I find good investments, the people in the company and the longevity of the company speaks a lot about the value of the investment. And thank you all for